What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hammerdown Motorsports. Today behind me we have our 2022 F350 Platinum, and well, as you can see, some things are already torn apart on it because we're doing other things on it, but that's going to be for a future video, so definitely stay tuned for that as well. But today we are talking track bars, and if you guys have been following along, we do have a block lift on this truck, just kind of the cheap, easy way to do it. It's a super lift. It was like probably 80 bucks, 90 bucks, something like that, just to get enough so we can clear these negative 19 wheels. And yeah, so if you have a wide wheel, you have to go up a little bit just so you don't rub. That's why I did that, and that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. But when you do that, your front diff will move over. So if your kit doesn't have a track bar relocate bracket, or you don't have an adjustable track bar, you're gonna have to get one, because otherwise your axle's not gonna be centered underneath the truck. So today we have a heavy duty track bar from Baja Customs, and we're gonna check this thing out today, see how it looks in the truck. All right, so we have this all unpacked here. You can see this is our stock track bar, obviously because we did add the adjustable one to the truck already to center our axle. So we do have this one sitting here. You can see how small the bushings are, and this is just a painted one-piece forged unit, I imagine. And then we've got our ball joint right here on the end, and then this is our one from Baja Customs. Now you can see we do have our instructions here as well. There is one thing we have to drill to have this installed, but this takes this to the next level. If you check out their website, they do all kinds of chassis work and really high-end off-roading stuff. So if you're in the oil field with your truck, you're working it all the time, and you're having problems with factory parts or even some of the other aftermarket stuff just not holding up for you, and you're ending up with death wobble and all of that, you might want to invest in one of these, because as you can see, we do have these giant heim joints on here, and this thing, obviously it's threaded inside here, so you don't have that sleeve. And sometimes, I mean, for most applications with the sleeve, you're fine, but that is a weak point in these. If they get loose, they can pound out the threads, and then you can end up having a little bit of play in there. This is one solid piece, and then you have the threaded ends with these giant heim joints on here, and this thing is a solid unit, let me tell you, and I can't wait to put it onto the truck. So now let's get the truck up in the air. We can get our other track bar out so we can get our measurement of the length that we're gonna wanna adjust this one to, and we can get it installed. All right, so underneath the truck, we have our stands here just to support our axle, just so it shouldn't shift side for side when we take our old track bar out. Then right here, we have a 24 millimeter. We're gonna get a pickle fork in here to remove this end of our track bar. And then up over here on the driver's side, we have a 30 millimeter. And even with a universal, trying to get the impact on that 30 millimeter is a little tricky, so we're gonna try it out with a ratchet. So now that we have our track bar bolt loose on the driver's side, we're gonna grab our 24 millimeter socket, loosen the passenger side, get our pickle fork in there, get that side removed, and then we'll remove our bolt on the driver's side. Next up, we're gonna locate the hole in our bump stop plate, which is right here. You can see our little vacuum line is in there with a little retaining clip. Just gonna take our trim tool, remove that for now. Just kind of set that off to the side. Then with this hole, we're gonna use this one, the factory one, as a guide. We're gonna drill this hole out to 1/2 inch and go all the way through the other side. And there we go. So now that we got our holes drilled, I'm just gonna clean up all of this excess metal, and then clean up our holes a little bit and give it a shot of paint just so we don't have any rust starting. So on my old track bar, it measures out to about 37 inches, so that computed basically on our new one to 2 full turns on either end outwards. You wanna make sure you have an even amount of thread on either side. So if you turn 2 out on this one, you wanna turn 2 out on that one, just kind of make it all even to try to get your desired length. So now we can install our new track bar in the truck. Set this here. All right, I don't think we could have had that any tighter and it'd still work. Definitely a precision fit. All right, got our bolt lined up in there. And then we're gonna get our bracket, and this part is actually gonna bolt to our differential in that hole that we drilled. So we're just gonna kind of line everything up here. I have to wiggle that to get that a little further down in the taper. I have to give that a little bit of a love tap. All right, so as you can see, we do have the bracket in place, and what I had to do, you did see that I did have that taper up a little bit. I took a dead blow hammer and just kind of tapped that down a little bit, very gently. It went in very easily, so don't be beating on this thing because everything here is a very precision fit and you don't want to mess any of that up. Then up here you can see I just used a lineup bar and I got that to line up with our hole. Then our bolt should slide right in, and it needs just a little bit of adjustment. So here it is, everybody. We have our bracket in place. We have our track bar in place. Both sides are tightened. We have our jam nuts tightened as well, and everything fit really well, except for the one little issue I ran into was that bolt that goes across just for this guard. When I drilled the hole, I was pretty certain I was straight across by using that 1/2 inch. I know if you use a 1/4 inch, it can maybe get skewed a little bit. It could have been my mistake. Could have been that I drilled it just a little bit too far back. I was at an angle that I couldn't see, but it is something that can happen. That's why I want to share it with you guys. So what I ended up doing was I was probably about maybe a little less than 1/4 of a hole out. So I used a carbide bit on a die grinder and I just kind of shaped this hole a little bit so the bolt would go through. You just want to make sure you don't tap too hard on this bolt because you'll mess up the threads. Luckily enough, everything went together nicely. Didn't have to take too much off, but we just ended up cleaning that up, and I retouched up the paint and all of that so we don't have any rust. And the bolt went through, this bolt is through, everything is tight, and this thing looks absolutely amazing under the truck. Another thing is this vacuum line right here. Normally you would put it where that bolt went in, so now we don't have a home for it. So what I did is I took a zip tie and then I put it around our new bracket up here by the bolt and just kind of secured that out of the way. It's pretty much almost in the exact same place that it was, so it shouldn't have any issues with clearance. But I think in the future I might try to build a little bracket or something like that to keep that a little bit cleaner than just a zip tie, but for now this is going to work just fine. So we'll give you guys a little bit of a better view of how this looks under the truck. You can see how everything looks. Everything is lined up perfectly and it looks really good. It looks robust. It looks very much like it's up for anything. This thing is super heavy duty and definitely an upgrade from anything you're gonna get from stock. All right, so I've done all my final checks. Everything is nice and tightened down for the last time, but I did have to adjust a little bit because, well, I thought having it up on jack stands or having it up on my stands over here would keep the diff from moving because the pressure was on it, but that is not the case. So if you try to do that, yeah, it's probably gonna move on you just like it did for me. Stick with your measurement. If it's not lined up, then pull the diff over so it does line up, because you're going to be a whole lot better off than I was, because I had to end up adjusting this a little bit after the fact. So I had to loosen everything off again, and in order to adjust this track bar, you can't just turn it in place just like you would with a sleeve, because it will hit that cross member underneath the engine right there. I figured it was easiest to take this end off, which it pretty much was. So I removed that, and then I was able to rotate the entire thing. Just make sure that you're holding that heim joint so it stays stationary while the rest of it turns, so you can get equal rotation. And that's how you got to adjust this thing, because yeah, that's just how it is. But when it's all done, it looks absolutely great and should do its job very, very well. Sometimes you got to learn from my mistakes, and that's why I'm here, because, well, if I had to do it 4 or 5 times and you guys only have to do it once, then I've done my job. So there it is, everybody, our brand new track bar from Baja Customs. Definitely check out all their information in the description below. And if you're working your truck, you're going through track bars, you're having death wobble issues, definitely want to check out a product like this, because super heavy duty upgrade from whatever you're going to get from the factory. It looks absolutely awesome out of the truck, and I'm very happy to have it on our Super Duty. So with that being said, if you guys have made it to this point in the video, drop track bar in the description below. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And as always, keep that hammer down.